let's start reviewing some VR stuff now. So first of all, I got into VR recently. I used to use the Google Cardboard, but that's the most VR I'd done up until recently. And I just wanted to overview getting into VR for the first time and my thoughts with everything. So let's just get into it. So first of all, the VR headset that I ended up getting is a Meta Quest 2. So I'll be kind of giving my thoughts on this as well as demonstrating it eventually. That's why things look a little bit different now. So yeah, let's talk about this and then let's do some demonstrations on it, such as Beat Saber. So looking forward to that. So I had some initial concerns as I was researching this, and I'll kind of go over what all that is. So I found the Meta Quest 2 to be kind of a really nice balance between the price and I guess functionality and stuff. One of the things that made me not get into VR for the longest time is the fact that you have to have like a really powerful computer. VR is expensive, but you have to have a powerful computer to even be able to utilize all that in the first place. That was one of my main concerns with that. But the cool thing about the Meta Quest 2 is it's actually a standalone headset, meaning you can use it without hooking it up to a computer, and the experience is actually quite reasonable. So that's one of the reasons why I got that. I think it's a good one to get started with. Would I choose anything else? No, I think this is definitely the best decision I made regarding that. So yeah, I'm just going to go over my initial concerns and things like that. So it is a standalone headset, meaning you don't need a computer to use it, but you can interface it with a computer if you really want to. Pretty much like any other headset can that supports PCVR, if you're familiar with that. So I'm probably not going to cover everything, but I'll do what I can. So yeah, you could use it standalone or hook it up to a computer. So now one of the things that I found really difficult to research was what interface does it come with, and will it be able to do everything that I want it to do? So since not a lot of resources, in my opinion, do a good job covering the interfaces that are included and stuff, I'm gonna show you what that all is. So the headset comes with a USB-C port right here and a 3.5mm jack. And those are the only ports that it comes with. There's only one USB-C port. There's a power button on this side, as well as the LED, so you can tell if it's charged or not. Volume control right here. And yeah, that's pretty much all the I/O. There's of course cameras around here, but there's only one USB-C port. So I'll talk about why that can be problematic later on. But those are all the ports it comes with. The USB-C, 3.5mm jack, and those are the only ports. So one thing I will note is if you're using a battery expansion with this, which I'll talk about in a little bit, since there's only one USB-C port and the battery extension hooks up via that, you won't be able to use like a link cable or anything while you use the battery expansion. So keep that in mind. So since USB ports provide a low amount of power and the device probably discharges faster than it charges, if you're hoping to use a battery pack to extend the life, you'll be disappointed because there's only one port. It's either this battery pack or the computer. So yeah, keep that in mind. You can do it wirelessly, which can kind of get around the problem, but if you want to use wired, then you're stuck with one port at a time. So yeah, you can't do that the other way around either. So yeah, like you can't charge while you're using a link cable. except for what the USB port outputs. It'll try charging it as if you have a phone plugged into your computer. It'll charge what it can, but it can only charge so quickly. It's probably going to discharge quicker than it charges depending on how you're using it. So yeah, keep that in mind. So the headset did actually come with a glasses spacer, which I was wondering about. I don't personally use it myself, but I know people who would. And my box came with a glasses spacer, so it's not like you have to get it separately. And same with the rubber piece. There's like a little rubber thing that you can put on the edge, which I would definitely recommend because this outer edge has foam on it normally, and if you sweat, that can get caught in there and it can possibly cause irritation, and it's permanent, so keep that in mind too. So I highly recommend putting this rubber piece on. It can be a little difficult to put on, but just tinker around with it until you get it. Unfortunately, mine doesn't quite go on the way it should. Like, it kind of peels in weird areas. Like, I don't know if you can see this, but that's not supposed to be coming out like that. Doesn't do it on the other side. You can kind of see it right here. Maybe there's poor lighting, so it's kind of hard to see. That comes out a little bit, but I think there's ways to get around that. But I mean, it works all right. Basically just tinker around with the rubber thing until you get it on the way you want. Might be a little difficult at first, but just mess around with it till you get something that actually fits nicely. If you use the rubber piece, of course it comes with controllers, as you can imagine, and the controllers come with AA batteries. You'll have to pull a thing out, like when you use some devices for the first time. The controllers come with AA batteries, which is what powers it. And this headset comes with a built-in battery, which you can charge, of course. And I find the battery tends to last like maybe about 3 hours at a time. But you can charge it while you're using it, in case you were wondering. That's something I wasn't sure about either. This is running Android effectively, so you can sort of treat it like a phone. Just like how you could use a phone while you're charging it, you could use this while you're charging it too. So yeah, that's that. So I'd put the rubber piece on if I were you. So now I want to talk about how you connect it to the computer. So there's two different ways you can connect it to the computer. You could use a link cable, such as this one right here. It's basically just USB-C. Or you could use AirLink, which allows you to do this over Wi-Fi, connected to the computer that way. I have a link cable right there. You can technically use any USB-C cable, but I think there's a special kind of wiring that it uses, like copper braiding or something or other. Just make sure that whatever cable you use has that. The link cable contains it. There might be some other off-brand ones that have it too. Just make sure it has this copper braiding and stuff. So, or else you can just do it wirelessly if your wireless is good enough for that. So that's not coming with the Quest. It's a thing you get separately. It's a separate accessory, as with the battery pack. And technically this is just a portable battery bank, but in a different form. So you can wear it sort of like this right here. I don't have it on my headset right now because it's kind of confusing and I just haven't bothered trying to figure it out yet. I've been procrastinating on that. I'll get it on one of these times, but I heard that it should help balance the headset so it's not as front heavy, which hasn't really bothered me personally, but I've heard that it can bother some people, I guess. So It does come with a charger, which is really short. And of course, doesn't have that special braiding as far as I can tell. So it might not work well as a link cable. The link cable, also, you want it to be at least 10 feet. Mine's 16 feet. That length is very helpful. But the length cable, the special braiding, and of course the length of it too. So, yeah. Make sure if you get a different length cable, make sure it's long enough, like at least 10 feet or so. I don't know how that translates to meters. And that it has this copper braiding so it can handle like low latency and stuff. So, yeah. Now, as far as connecting it to the computer, it has USB-C on both ends, both the charger and the link cable. But you can get a USB-C to A adapter. I have some from Cable Creation, which I'll probably put the link in the description if I remember. But I was concerned about whether it'd be able to handle the bandwidth and stuff like that. But it should be able to handle it just fine. Those Cable Creation ones should be good rated. I've had a pretty good experience so far with it. Although I haven't used PCVR yet. Because I'll get into that in a little bit. My graphics card is not that powerful. So I haven't really done that much yet. But when it comes to like streaming the headset, which is what I'm going to use so you can see what's on my headset. That uses the USB-C to A adapter with the link cable that I got separately. And yeah, it works pretty well. It's got like over 2 gigabit. So as far as speed goes, that should be plenty. So if you're doing it over wireless, you're almost certainly not going to get more than a gigabit. If you do, let me know, but I think it's pretty rare at this point in time. Maybe you're in the future where that's way beyond normal. Who knows? But yeah. So the link cable is separate. You get a USB adapter. It's really dumb that the headset itself doesn't include one, but or at least the link cable packaging, especially given the price. But at least you can get adapters or possibly use one you already have. So the other thing I was going to mention regarding the USB stuff is, of course, you could use AirLink, which is a wireless form of it. As long as your wireless is good enough, you should have a pretty decent experience with the AirLink. So about the headset itself, it does have sound built into it using there's some built-in speakers that could be focused towards your hearing. So it's not like it's these really loud speakers, although it's probably a little bit, there'll probably be a little bit more feedback where other people could hear it compared to headphones, but it's not much more, if any. So it is pretty quiet overall. Like you should be able to hear it fine, but in terms of other people being able to hear it, it's pretty quiet within the environment. So thought I'd mention that. It's pretty focused towards the ear, which is quite nice. So yeah, it's got built-in speakers. I personally use the 3.5mm jack because I actually wear hearing aids and I have a third-party accessory not related to this, but it can connect to my hearing aids and audio streams to there. My only complaint is it doesn't get very loud compared to my other devices, which, I mean, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but I pretty much have to have it all the way turned up for it to be a normal level for me. So, just something I thought I'd mention. So now, if you have USB-C earbuds, they are not meant to charge the device. Don't make that mistake like my brother did. USB-C earbuds will not charge the device. Many hours were lost because of this mistake, so don't make that mistake. But use the charger instead of the USB-C earbuds to charge the device. Basically, is the moral of the story. But yeah, I don't know if you could use USB-C earbuds for actual audio output. I don't know. So now regarding buying stuff, unfortunately things are overall quite expensive in the store. So even though there's not that much upfront cost compared to other types of VR headsets and stuff, the cost to get games and stuff and accessories down the line can get quite expensive. So that's something to keep in mind too. So I will mention that you can get an e-gift card on Amazon for Meta for this particular headset. So if you want to redeem a code onto your account, you can get a gift card on Amazon and get it sent to your email. There is such thing now, which I found quite surprising, but that's pretty cool. Another thing I will mention that I wish I'd done is referrals. So you can refer a friend and you both get 30 USD dollars, I think, from what I've seen. Unfortunately, I never took advantage of that, and yeah. But if there's like multiple headsets in the family or something, refer each other and you could get like 30 USD dollars for doing that, and probably some equivalent in your currency. But yeah, so keep that in mind. If you know someone who's going to start using it, do the referral, take advantage of that for both of you guys. So yeah. So yeah, the battery expansion, it's got a little adjustable thing here, which I imagine is useful. I don't really know what it's like since I haven't really figured out the mechanism yet. It's kind of hard to figure out exactly how to mount it. I'll figure it out one of these days, but I've been procrastinating on that. Kind of wish they made it easier, but whatever. So yeah, you can probably use any battery bank as long as it outputs enough power. And you have to figure out a nice way to mount it and stuff. Otherwise, you can just plug it into a nearby port or outlet or whatever. That works too. The link cable can be used to charge the device, just so you know. So if you want to charge with a long range, the link cable is great for that. You could also probably use it for other devices too. If you want to be able to charge your phone from a long distance, link cable I think would get the job done for that too. So yeah. So regarding using it on the computer, I think I need to get a different graphics card if I want to have a good experience with that. So I currently have a GTX 750 in my PC, which is very low end. And when I tried PC VR, it was very choppy. I got probably about 20 frames per second on the GTX 750. So the experience, while it works, it's not super great. You can clearly tell that not everything is, not the whole 360-degree space is being rendered all at once. It clearly starts rendering it once it's within your field of view. Sort of like how our senses work. But yeah, when it's not laggy and choppy, it does it so seamlessly you can't even tell us what's happening, which is, I think, is amazing. But I'm probably gonna end up getting a better graphics card. It'll probably be like a 3060 Ti, RTX 3060 Ti. That seems to be a nice middle ground between the price and the actual performance you get for that price. So as of right now, that seems to be the middle ground from the limited research that I've done. If not, then let me know. I do have a device with a better graphics card that I could probably test it with someday, but I have not done that yet. It's some AMD thing that is VR ready. So I'll try that out one of these days. That won't be included in this review, unfortunately, but that's something I'm doing soon. So, as for how you interface with a computer, you can either use SideQuest, which I think you have to enable the developer options, and there's videos online showing how to do that, other resources. And then the Oculus app gives you other types of functionality. So SideQuest is what I'll be using to record the gameplay that we'll be doing later on. So yeah, Oculus I think might have something similar, I'm not sure. But with the Oculus app, that's how you do things like PCVR. And that's stuff you could easily find online, so I won't really go over that. So now let's talk about some of my first thoughts when I started really using it and stuff. So when I first put that thing on, the focal was already good as it was, and with the Google Cardboard there's a lot of overlap, and that was my first impression with VR. But with that thing, there's no overlap between the two eyes, which I was honestly concerned about. But with the way our vision should be able to overlay perfectly into one big eye rather than two of them. So like obviously I look through one eye at a time, then I look through the other one. I can see some of the same stuff between each eye, but when I have them both open, they blend together nicely, right? That's how it should be. Anyway, bring that up because the VR headset does exactly the same thing. There's two little eye things inside, and the way they blend together is just like the human eye. At least that's what my experience is with it. So it is like I'm looking at one large thing when I have it on, and I was blown away when I first used it. I thought the motion tracking was amazing as well. So I think it has pretty good motion tracking, especially for a standalone headset where you're not setting up like surround cameras throughout the environment. So that's pretty cool. Now when I first started using it, Wi-Fi would not connect even when I punched in the password. And I found that I initially tried connecting to the modem's Wi-Fi because the router that we have actually fried and we haven't even bothered trying to get a new one yet. So I was using the modem Wi-Fi. It just wouldn't connect for whatever reason because it had trouble obtaining an IP address and stuff. But when I connected it to our router, it connected just fine. And once I connected to the router, everything worked fine. I know I said that it fried, but wireless still works, but Ethernet hardwired no longer works on that router. Probably because it's half fried. That's my theory anyway, but using the wireless router worked fine. So if Wi-Fi doesn't work, you might have to do a different type of network potentially. And I did try updating it, which I was hoping would fix the Wi-Fi problem. It never did as far as I can tell. But using the router Wi-Fi isn't really that big of a deal, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, when I was in the middle of an update, it kept dropping out when I put the headset down. I have a theory that the headset went to sleep while it was down. But I picked it back up and it resumed once I connected Wi-Fi. Eventually made it to 100%, even though I had to put on the headset like 20 times before it got there. So that was my experience when I updated it, which has to happen when you first get it most likely. So yeah, regarding the focus, everything can be out of focus if it's slightly positioned wrong. So there are adjustments with the focal thing, which I never had to do. But when I'm wearing it, if it's off just a little bit, then everything can look kind of blurry. But if I have it positioned just right, then it can be clear. So if it's blurry, then it probably has to be focused just right. Might have to make some adjustments to the strap. Who knows? But it might just be a simple adjustment you can make without adjusting the strap. So yeah, once you do that, then that helps. As you wear glasses, you could probably use a glasses spacer. One thing I will point out is my dad is, I think, farsighted. I can't remember, but like he can't see things up close, I don't think. But with the VR headset, he's able to see everything clearly without glasses or anything, which is really interesting. Because when it comes to reading stuff up close, not gonna happen. But with the VR headset, somehow the focus just happens to be right for how his cones are lined up or whatever. So I thought that was really interesting, but there is a glasses spacer you can put in there. I haven't done it before, so I can't tell you how it's done, but I'm sure it's relatively intuitive to get the glasses spacer in there if you need to use that. So when I got the headset, it did come with Beat Saber for free, but in order to get it, I logged into my email in the web browser within the headset, and I was able to redeem a code once I signed up and stuff. And I was able to redeem that and install Beat Saber. So that worked. But I had to sign into my email in order to be able to do so and get the link opened up on the headset itself to be able to use Beat Saber for free. But that's the only game it came with. I assumed it would come with more games since it had them on the box. But I think those games were on the box just because they're popular. Mine only came with Beat Saber, as far as I can tell. So, yeah. Now, I thought that it previously would support the Xbox, but from my limited research, it doesn't seem to have very good Xbox support. I mean, you can probably stream what you're doing from the Xbox to there, but I think you actually need to do that through PCVR or something. I don't know much about that, so if you're trying to do it with the Xbox, you'll have to do your own research with that. So that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. So why don't we do an actual demonstration so I could show you what the experience is like. So let's just jump right into the demonstration now. Okay, so now I'm gonna wear this thing. So what you're seeing is exactly what I see when I put this thing on. So the first thing I wanted to mention was the controllers that you wear can actually point a laser essentially. So I have graphical versions of the controller on here aside from the real thing. It even knows what I'm pressing, which is insane. I never even fully pressed a button, but it's got sensors on the buttons themselves, which is pretty insane. The controller itself has these laser things so you can point at stuff, which is pretty interesting. So for example, if I look up there, there's a graphical thing that you can see right here, and I can drag it around with the controller as needed. Now it's not dragging around correctly just because of how everything's positioned, but we're about to fix that. So that will happen every once in a while. So when you first set this up, you'll be setting up a bound, which I just click down here, and then I can see if I come up to it, then I can see it a lot closer. I apologize if not everything is exactly how it should be, by the way, regarding the production. I'm doing my best, especially since it's late at night. But you'll create a boundary, which is either stationary or room scale. For room scale, that's kind of how you do it. So I think the floor is all the way down there, which it's not. So I want to click on redo. And what you're seeing here is getting it down to the floor level. And by the way, what I'm seeing is as if I actually looking at everything. Like the corresponding position of everything is really close, which is pretty insane. Like what I mean by that is if I focus on something, like my webcam over there, and I take off the headset, I'm still looking at exactly what I was looking at with the headset on, which is absolutely insane. So, other than the crappy camera quality, it feels like I'm really looking at stuff even though I'm actually looking through a camera. So now that I got the floor level, I can confirm. And then you basically draw a boundary of where everything is. So you hold this trigger right here and you draw the boundary. But since I'm in a very tight space with the green screen and all that, this is not going to be my boundary, but that's the idea. Oh wow, that was actually big enough. I didn't think it would be. So now that's way over there. So I can press this button on the controller if I want to bring it closer. That meta button right, you won't be able to see it through here. I held that down for a second and the interface came closer to me. So yeah, if I want I could drag this way out and get a nice holographic view, which is pretty cool. As you can see, the tracking is really good. I'm amazed at the tracking abilities. So as far as my bound, I'm actually out of the bound, so I'm doing a stationary boundary, which is just where I'm at right now. For the purpose of this, I'm just going to make sure I'm not hitting anything. Then I'll be fine. And by the way, you can turn on the color temperature stuff. This is normal. But with the warm color temperature, that's what it looks like. And since it's really late at night, I'm going to do the warm color temperature. But this is with the normal environment. Now if I turn this on, all of a sudden I'm in a completely different environment. There I am in the mirror right there. I can see all sorts of cool stuff right there. Really feels like I'm in this environment, which is insane. The tracking is really good. Pretty amazing how this actually works. So, yeah, I think that's really cool because you can basically set a bunch of different environments. I think it's in the settings right here. Virtual environment right here. You can set it to any one of these environments right here, which is pretty cool. And of course you can explore it if you want. But yeah, it's insane because it feels like I'm really here right now and it encapsulates my whole vision. I can still see graphical representations of my controller, which is pretty cool. It even shows the battery level, which doesn't show on the actual controller. So that's also pretty insane. So yeah, when I'm walking around, I like to be able to see the actual environment like this. But yeah. Okay, so let's see, what else was I going to talk about? You don't actually need to use controllers. You can do hand tracking as well. So to do hand tracking, you just go to settings. I probably look like a lunatic if you just saw myself without seeing the screen. That's what I'm doing. But if you want to do some hand tracking, where is that? Oh, I just saw it. So movement tracking, you can turn on hand tracking, and rather than using these controllers, you could use your hands instead. So I'm gonna take off the controller. Man, this feels weird doing it in this virtual environment. I haven't looked over that gate yet, but if I had a big enough boundary, I probably would eventually be able to do that. So to set my controllers there for now. So now I can use my hands. So now I got representation of my hands, which is insane. I can do everything with my hand, as you can see. You can even type and stuff with a hand too. So if I went to the web browser, I could go to like google.com. You can do it with two hands, by the way. This is literally the future right here, isn't it? See how I just went to Google right there? Isn't that crazy? Yeah, if you saw me without this background, I would look like a lunatic. I'll probably show some of that too. Sorry if everything's really orange, by the way. That's just with the warm color temperature. At this time of night, they do have the ability now, as you can see. So yeah, hand track is pretty cool. The other thing I wanted to mention is it can do 120 Hertz, which is an experimental feature. So if you go into the settings, experimental, I think one of the settings that you'll find, actually that's not where it is, probably under system. Yeah, you can have 120 Hertz. Oh wow, I can definitely tell the difference now. I can see how motion sickness is more likely to happen with 60 versus 120. Everything just feels more instantaneous when I turn my head on 120 as opposed to 60, which is what this video is in. So if you're wondering about the 120 Hertz stuff, that's already enabled by default. You can set the warmth of the color temperature too, by the way, but I prefer to have it on there. So yeah. Now if you wanted to pause in a game, I just wanted to quickly mention the way you do that is the button on the left controller that looks like a menu, or if I'm using hand tracking, which my hands should appear in a few seconds. There we go. See that icon right there with the hamburger icon? That button on the controller is what you press to pause a game that you're in. Pressing the metal button, this one right here on the right controller, will accomplish basically the same thing, but it'll also pull up this type of menu here too. So yeah, this is pretty insane that you could do this without the computer or anything like that. I'm just using a computer so you can see what I'm doing right now and also hear what I'm doing too. But yeah, so then if you're wondering about how to transfer files to this thing, you can hook this up to the computer with USB, and because it's technically Android behind the scenes, you access it just like you're accessing an Android device when it comes to file transfer. So yeah. So now I may as well real quickly show you what YouTube VR looks like. I'm not going to watch any videos for copyright purposes, but I just want to show you what the app looks like. So you could use your hands with YouTube VR. And I can use all my fingers to drag the whole thing around, I think. Kind of hard to make it drag sometimes, but every once in a while I could, yeah, there we go. Now I just dragged the whole window. You can search videos just like this. You type with one hand like that, blah blah blah. But what's really cool, this may not look significant, but this is YouTube basically encapsulating my whole vision, which is much bigger than you're going to get on a computer monitor. So this is an interesting way to watch YouTube. So if you sign in with your account, you can of course view your watch history and stuff like that. But you otherwise have to manually search videos yourself. Kind of hard to like send a link to this device if you want to view a specific link. Although you could probably open it up in the web browser. As you can see, I'm in a whole virtual environment right here. And you can imagine that if I had a 360-degree video playing, it will encapsulate the whole space. Not just right there, but all around. If I want to quit, then I go like this. The 360-degree video looks just like this environment pretty much, and I can look anywhere I want within the video, which is pretty cool. That's cool how the mirror can kind of reflect what I'm actually doing. Feels almost like a dream to some extent. So yeah, you might have heard stuff about the metaverse. Yeah, well, it's basically here already. This is kind of it. So now I want to show you an app called Immersed, but before I can do that, I have to set up my Mac, which is currently the only device that works with that right now. I mean, Immersed, sorry, I'm not even thinking about what I'm saying. It's pretty late, 3:30 in the morning. Terrible idea to record this at this time, but I'm going to follow through with this. So if you want to view your monitors in this environment, you use Virtual Desktop as a typical one, but I like Immersed because it's completely free and the clarity tends to be a lot better from what I've heard too. Immersed has a pretty good overall experience when it comes to viewing your monitors on the screen. So I want to real quickly get that set up with the Mac. So I will be right back, and we'll be back with Immersed. So yeah, if you want to create virtual monitors easily, Immersed is a pretty cool way to do that. So I'll just show you what that looks like. So now I just brought the menu back by pinching my fingers like this. And sorry, there's probably some things I forgot to explain as I'm doing this, but hopefully some of it you can figure out for yourself. But yeah, to view your monitors on here and even create virtual monitors that don't tie with physical monitors, Immersed is one way you can do it. But it might not be graphics accelerated, so keep that in mind, because you might not utilize a graphics card unless you have that physically connected to a monitor with that graphics card. So yeah, see how amazing the tracking is. So yeah. Wait, what's going on here? Oh, my camera froze up, didn't it? I apologize, guys. Let me see if I can get that fixed real quick. My apologies for the technical difficulties. We're back. I hope it hasn't been gone for too long. So now it looks like it lost the boundary, which, yeah, you can see that. Create the boundary. So the floor level is now wrong again. So now I use my hands to determine the floor level. Confirm. Oh, let's use a stationary boundary, which is about right. So now I'm in Immersed, and as you can see, I got virtual monitors. I have it set up with my Mac right now, because I just never set it up in Windows yet. So I have to change the screen resolution for it to all be correct. But once I change it, then you could imagine that it would work. It's kind of weird using it by hand because the menu that I want, for some reason the button doesn't press. That should be pulling up the menu. This is pretty cool though. This feels like the future, doesn't it? I could go like this, and now I'm in a completely different environment, and I can actually go outside, but I don't know how much boundary I have for that. I could look outside, and there's actually an outside to this world, which is pretty crazy. So, I guess this is what the metaverse is supposed to represent coming up in the future. You can have like 4 virtual monitors, I think. Although, if you have physical monitors, that'll add how many you can do, basically. But yeah, these are monitors all happening at the same time. You can see that timer right there. It's going up on all of them. I only have one screen connected right now, so 2 of them are virtual screens. This one is the real screen. Those are virtual, and I can arrange it how I want. Either pin it or unpin it. What's cool is I can pull it up or throw it back. Isn't that crazy? So I can have monitor workspaces set up however I want to. Let me pull up the menu that I wanted to pull up using the actual controller. There we go. I wanted to show that I can use my hands to control the screen. So if I turn this monitor input on and I drag this somewhere right there. Oh, the reason why the aspect ratio is weird on there is because I'm using my laptop screen. That's the actual aspect ratio. So if I can unpin this, I can pull this right up towards me. For some reason the monitor input's not working, but the cursor should be moving right now if I do this. And then I can click on stuff if I want. So it is possible to use a computer using just your hands with this VR headset, which is pretty cool. And yes, I can go right into stuff. Of course, this is what ends up happening with my boundaries, but isn't that crazy? The tracking is just so good. I'm honestly shocked about the tracking. See if I can pull this screen over. Tracking with the hands not always perfect, but the head movement is what I'm blown away by. So I just wanted to show, like, this is an alternative to virtual desktop that may be better because it's free. This is all done for free, by the way. You just install Immerse software. You should be able to figure it out. I think I've shown enough of this. So now let's go to the home screen. And what am I doing next? Oh, by the way, Immerse gives you more environments to explore. So if you want to explore more environments besides what the meta comes with, Immerse is a great way to do that. And there's some keyboard tracking features which I haven't experimented with, but that is a thing. So yeah, the next app I wanted to show, I'm going to put on my controllers now. But the next app I wanted to show is a really cool concept that I never really even thought was possible before, but it makes sense. And that is 3D painting. You might not think that 3D painting is that big of a deal, but I could assure you it's insane. You might not really be able to appreciate it as much. Not actually using VR, but I think you'll still get the idea. So OpenBrush is what it's called. It's a free app. Everything should be working on your end, hopefully. So there's the loading. So now I'm in this virtual environment, which is actually pretty cool. So right here I can use my right controller, and isn't that crazy how it tracks like that? Like you create a new sketch. I think it's got my handedness mixed up. Yeah, and I don't think I'm left-handed, which I didn't set that, but I'm ambidextrous, so it honestly doesn't matter anyway. So I can hit the joystick button to make this happen and set exactly what I want. So if I wanted to draw if I wanted to paint some stuff, watch this. So it's got motion tracking, which is pretty cool, and of course I can go through that if I really wanted to. But here's where it gets insane. Isn't that crazy? This is 3D painting right here. So you might learn 3D tricks with like shadows and stuff like that, but this is a more 3D version of that, and I can explore it from all angles, which is pretty insane. There's like various types of paints I could do. I probably look weird doing this, huh? Like I could create snow, which actually makes it sort of snow in the environment to some extent. There's other things like rainbows, which is a type of paint right here. So I can paint around other 3D stuff. Isn't that crazy? And if I want, I can zoom it out. Throw it out like this by holding these trigger buttons. Pull it in like this. So I'll get a real close look at what I just did. Pretty cool. I can make this really big as well. That's what I just did. So yeah, pretty insane. Sorry about the buzzing noise that may be happening. My 3.5mm jack is where the audio is actually coming from. But yeah, look at this. That is insane. You can do stuff like teleport and stuff. I just wanted to show you the concept of 3D painting. It can be in an environment where you can paint how and wherever you want. And it's persistent, which is also very cool. This is a pretty cool app. So if I wanted to fly, forget exactly how that works. Oh yeah. I could fly around and... Oh man, this feels weird. It almost feels like I'm falling up in a sense. Now I can fly towards the painting. This feels so weird. I feel like I'm literally heading into the painting. This feels so weird, as you could probably imagine. Anyway, I think I've done this enough. So that's pretty cool. So now I'm gonna quit that. What am I exploring now? Now let's do some Beat Saber. So let's see, am I far enough back so that my head isn't cropping off? Barely far enough back. There we go, that's probably more like it. As far as my boundaries go, what's safe and what isn't. I can't go right here. Sorry about that. I accidentally shut off the headset. Must have accidentally force shut it down when I pressed a button. But I think we're good now. I gotta adjust my rubber thing, which didn't feel right for a little bit. Okay, so as far as my bounds go, suppose I could come over here. And then I can't hit anything on either side. So now let's do some Beat Saber. And the songs appear to be copyright free, which means I should be able to actually use the songs in the video. So that's pretty cool. So let's open some Beat Saber. So this is a game that pretty much without VR isn't really a thing. Hope I just bumped something. But it's alright. Alright. So I'm gonna recenter that. So now I basically have sabers. So I think I'll start with this one. So I can do this song on expert, I think. See if I can successfully do it. It's been a little while since I've done it. But essentially I have these lightsaber things. And I go like that. Pretty cool. Not perfect when it comes to this, but clearly it's been a while. So you can see how what I'm doing is correlated with this. I probably look like a lunatic doing this, but you didn't see what was going on, huh? Somehow I missed that one. When I'm in a constricted space, it's actually kind of hard to play this. How did I get that one? Hopefully you guys can see me alright yet. It's been a long time since I've done this one. Sorry, I'm pretty terrible at this. Well, at least I survived. Yeah, looks like you can see me alright. Cool. I feel like I could probably do this at like 150% speed. I don't know. getting pretty crazy. Sorry if you can't see all the blocks because of where I'm looking. I used to be able to do that one part that I just did. Oops. Aw, man. Well, why don't I do this on the main camera where you guys can't see what I'm actually doing? I feel like that would be pretty fun to show. Why don't I do it in this view? This is not mirrored, so might be a little bit confusing, but whatever. I think you guys... Oops. Shut it off again. I just realized you guys can't actually hear it, I don't think. Yeah, I want to make it so you guys can hear it. You guys should be able to hear it. Okay. I want to look like a loon right now, so let's do that. Sorry, I'm over on the... Oh my gosh, the camera glitched out too. Just when I had things working. Come on. I'm gonna have to fix that now. I think we're good to go now. Hopefully the camera doesn't glitch out again. Alright. Ready to watch me act like a lunatic? Here we go. You can mute the sound if you don't want to hear the music, by the way. This is insane. We're about to fail. There, it failed. There, you wanted me acting like a lunatic? There you go. We got that now. Sorry about the green screen lighting. Let's bring myself back on. Alright. So now I'm gonna do my favorite song of all time on Beat Saber. And that song is I Need You, which is in here. This is my favorite song of all time, honestly. I mean, I don't know if all time, but definitely on VR. I mean, on this game. I Need You is my favorite song on Beat Saber. Let's just put it that way. So here we go. This song is so cool to play. There's just something that's intuitive about this. These are kind of complex, but there's just something that feels intuitive about it as well. Oops. Missed that one. Yeah, there's just something about this that feels so natural, yet complex. That's what I like about this song. Also, the song itself is really cool. Pretty complex on Expert Plus. I'm not good at it. This is the start of my favorite part, by the way. So cool. It's out of sync a little bit. Sorry if there's lag in the gameplay, by the way. Kinda hard to play this in a cramped space. Oops. Very cool. Of course, my favorite moment starts at the 69-second mark, which is unsurprising. Before we get into this, I want to real quickly note that the audio doesn't actually sound as good as it's supposed to because it's recorded in mono audio. So what I'm doing right here is replacing it with the stereo audio, which sounds way better. Enjoy, since I believe mono takes away the really good parts of this song. This is my favorite part. I'm going to do it again. Alright. I'm gonna do that at 150% because I think I can survive that. So let's bring that to 150%. Make sure everything's running, which it is. Here we go. Oh, no, starting from the beginning. Here we go. Hard to do it when it's out of sync. Also, it's positioned weird right now, where everything is blurry for me. This is a good way to get exercise. You can really feel the momentum when you get good at it. I'm tempted to do like 175, maybe even 200. Can I even do 200? I apologize if it's lag, by the way. But yeah, this is an example of where I'm sweating and I'm glad I have the rubber thing right now. Ready? This is crazy. I still haven't missed any notes yet. Now I have. Wow. Doing a lot better than I thought it would. Tried it a long time ago, but I failed miserably. Wow. To the zone. Oh well. That was fun. I think I'm gonna call it there. So I want to show you one more cool app that I like to use. One more thing I like to use this for, which is drumming. Not even looking at the VR screen. The other thing I wanted to do was an app called Paradiddle, which is a drumming app. So you can create a drum set and play it however you want using Paradiddle, which is pretty cool. So let's launch that. So you can basically create drum sets with this app. So I'm going to hold both triggers to skip this. I'm going to press the joystick. Now I have a drum. So you can see. Tempted to make sure that nothing's glitching out. But now I have this right here, sort of like in the Paint app. I could create a drum set. And you can see how I can place it how or wherever I want. This is pretty cool. My favorite crash cymbal is this one. Makes the most noise. So you can do all sorts of instruments like this, or a xylophone, or anything else like that, which is pretty cool. I think marimbas sound cool personally. And then you just hit the joystick when you want to play. I feel like sometimes the track is not 100% perfect. Sorry about... I'm pretty sure it's out of sync, and I apologize about that. And I personally like to disable the particles by going to graphics. Sorry, drum and environment particles. I also like to go into controls and under controller. I'm a little bit shaky from that Beat Saber stuff, I think. Change everything to none because what it essentially does is it pretty much any button will do this, which is sort of like hitting the pedal. But I don't want that to happen because these are hard to hold as drumsticks. So I actually hold down the buttons, which gives me a better grip. So that's why I do things that way. But I actually have a drum set, so I'm going to load it. Pretty similar to what we just did. Also, the height is way off. No, it's not. The height's not necessarily off. Okay. How's this for the view? I don't like this necessarily either. I want to get further, but there we go. Sorry, my head is probably gonna cut off with how close I am to everything. I'm adjusting it so everything's just right. I think this is where I want everything. Yeah, there we go. So, I'm gonna play a song. You may or may not recognize it. If you do, kudos. Well, I'm gonna play half of it, because the other half is exactly the same as the first. So this is 60 for the tempo, I think. Ready? Here we go. And this is so confusing with it being out of sync. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'll try. Oh my gosh, I'm confusing myself. I'm going to turn off sound for myself because I'm audio jamming myself. I want to tune myself out of the music though. Then I'm drum jamming myself, or whatever you want to call that. But it'll be weird not to hear it. So yeah, that's the normal speed so far. Oops, I'm screwed up. Oops, I screwed that up again. Man, I'm telling you, not being able to hear that sucks. I'm used to being able to hear feedback of some sort. So I'm going to quit out of this. I think that's going to be the end of the VR demo. So, unplug the audio so it doesn't cause static. Not sure why it thinks I'm wearing it. The strap makes it think I'm wearing it. Oh my gosh, how many times is the camera gonna glitch? I think I can fix it on the spot. There we go. Alright. That's gonna be it for the VR demonstration.